Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. We bring to you, heinous crimes committed against women from all around the world. We're here with Sister Baljeet Kaur. Stuff that you went through was very hard. We're doing this just so that nobody else has to go through with what you've been through. And remember, far back in your life as a child, what was that like?
Very difficult. I can remember way back to when I was in an infant school. Fortunately, just to give you a little bit of a background, my father wasn't around. He was murdered. It was in a time when we were probably the only family on the street without a father, and everybody else had dads. Ways to try and dodge. These were Englishmen. These were Englishmen. And they used to stop. I used to stop us going up one road, and he used to take me into an alleyway. Younger brother waiting at the end of the alleyway, making sure that he tells the person if there's anybody coming. So there was one person who was abusing me.
Yeah.
Also, I think it was abuse to my brother. It was actually happening behind a shop that my mum's friends actually owned. When I look back now and I think, my God, if only they knew what was going on one wall away. But we were children. We didn't know what was right, what was wrong. And that happened for a very long time. Coming back from school, when I look back now, it was to avoid that road, thinking that he would be there. I tried to come down the other road. It was a Singer sewing machine shop at the bottom of that road. And in that shop, there was another English guy. And he was friends with my mum because my mum used to do sewing. He used to call us into the shop, into the back. You think that these people are your mum's friends? These are friends.
Yeah.
You know, detail, and I still struggle till today. The disgust and what I was confronted with, I still don't know how far this actually went. I do know what I've experienced. I do know what happened, but I still think, did they actually do something to me that I can't remember? I've been in shock and grief. And it went on, and they used to give us money. Which I look back now, obviously it was grooming, but at the time it was like things that we weren't getting at home as well.
How old were these people? I mean, you were 8. How old were these people?
I think I was younger than 8. I think I was about coming from 6 to 7, 30 years older maybe.
Was he married? Did you know if he was married?
I don't know anything about them. They were
you didn't?
English. One of them, he tried to entice me into his house with my brother. This is where I go blank because I can't remember what happened.
Do you remember going into the house?
I remember going into the house at one point. I literally have a block. I cannot remember.
So the trauma was probably so bad that your mind's completely blanked it out.
I struggle with dates. I struggle with years. I do have PTSD with a lot of things, but this is where my mother comes into it because on top of all of that, I used to get a lot of beatings. The beatings that I got on top of what was going on, my whole head basically is a mess.
So how long did the abuse with these Englishmen happen? There's 2 people there.
It was just happening. In a way, I know this sounds crazy, but I was grateful that my mum was giving me beatings because I run to my neighbours. And I got saved and I was put into a foster home and children's homes. It's almost like I saved myself from abuse of every shape, way or form.
So you were taken out of that environment into foster care, that was your saviour really, because you're away from the whole scene there.
Absolutely, and I feel.
How long do you remember that it went on for, from the ages 6, 7?
I went into care at the age of 11. I was standing in court at the age of 11. It all happening way before then, I would say from the age of 6 right up until then.
So good 4 or 5 years, yeah? Run away from your mother. You were running away from the abuse that was happening in them 2 streets.
When I look back now, it was running away from all the abuse.
So there was sexual abuse and physical abuse happening.
All at the same time.
Do you remember why she beat you?
Can't make myself not forgive my mum because she's gone through losing her husband he was murdered. My dad was murdered. That can't have been easy for her. I'm the one who endured my mother's pain.
So she was venting it out on you, really,
me.
and she probably didn't know what she was doing either.
No, and I understand that. I can't sit there and say any different. That's why I do forgive her. But moving forward from there, I now felt free and stuff like that. Coming up to 16, and I wanted to come back and live with my mum. My mother said, if you're going to come back here, you have to get married.
Was there anybody at school or a friend that you told someone what was happening to you in that alley or in that shop?
No.
And they bought your silence by giving you the pennies or...
Yeah, many Indian children in the schools. Nobody saw my bruises. When I look back there, I just think, why did nobody see me at school? I was going from being groomed to being beaten from the night before, to wetting my bed every single day, to going to school to bullies, to the point that I can't concentrate, to the point that I'm already scared because I have to go home. How am I going to get home?
So there was no safe space.
There wasn't, and I found a way, and I started jumping through the gardens of other people's back houses to get to our back garden, that I could go into avoidance with the way of coming home.
So as soon as this person saw you, he'd call you over?
You see him coming and you just get scared. You could see him in his long black coat, black trousers, and he'd be walking down, and straight away, you know in yourself there's something not right.
So this would happen on days before you went to school?
This would happen on days before I went to school, and some days on the way back from school. She used to complain to my mother all the time, your kids are going for the gardens, this and that, but they didn't know. I was trying to save myself and my little brother. Like I said, I needed to get back with my family. I missed my family. But the only way I could get back was by getting married.
That was the condition that your mother set?
Yeah, that's the condition my mother set. I just said yes. So I got married and moved in with the in-laws in Hounslow. And we soon started having problems within the first couple of months. I think when I look back now, it had a lot to do with already what had been going through and stuff. We had a problem, and we both went back to my mum. We had a shop, and we had a house next door to the shop. And there was my sister used to live there, or my sister-in-law used to live there, my older brother used to live there, my mum used to live there, whatever. And this house that we had next to the shop, the front door was always locked, and it was always locked. No one ever used that front door. We always used the shop door coming in through the back, and that was it. That was the entrance. So me and my husband was there. We had a bit of an argument and stuff like that, and we stayed. A little bit of a fight, me and my husband, not like a major boxing ring fight, but an argument which turned a little bit physical. He decided that he was going to go back to Hounslow to his auntie.
Right.
And I decided that I needed to be a little bit more with my mum, sort this out kind of thing. I remember I was in the shop with my mum. She was making roti. She said to me, go in the other house and go and get me something. I still whack my head. I can't remember what she asked me to get.
Okay.
Looking for something. But that one thing that she asked me to get, it bugs me. Till today, it really bugs me. My brother-in-law came in. I heard the keys locking the door. He's locking the door.
So how old was you then?
17, coming on to 18, something around that time.
Right.
I remember the keys and something like, you just feel something inside, like something don't feel right, And he stood there, and and he's at the back. The door's locked. I can hear the keys gone. Why are you locking the door? I didn't ask him this. Something sort of like goes in your body, and your mind's telling you something's not. He came and he looked at me and he said to me, "Dobi dukia, maybe dukia." At that point, my whole heart, everything fell to the floor. I knew I had no escape. Went running straight upstairs, thinking that I can close the door and scream from the window or something. But I had no voice. At this point, my voice had already gone. She got into the room, and I remember I was wearing an Indian suit at the time. He got into the room, and I was trying to push the door, and he got into the room, and space, because it was like a box room. There was a double bed, and there wasn't enough space for me to move anywhere. He did what he did all the way, everything. I just can't remember coming out of that room and them stairs. But I do remember going to my mum, and I was crying my eyes out.
Straight after the event?
Yeah, straight after. She was in the kitchen making roti, remember? And I went straight there and I said, Mum, I said, Jessie's just done this to me. And she looked at me and she went, Pal, Amina Bakwaskar. I then went back to Hounslow.
Did you go on your own accord or did they kick you out?
I went on my own accord. And I remember my husband coming down and talking to the taxi driver and asking him, where are you taking her, where are you taking her? And he said, listen, I can't discuss that, you know. And he was really distraught. He didn't know why I was leaving or anything. And I couldn't tell him why I was leaving because I didn't even know what was happening with me at that point, to be fair.
Did you just tell your mother or did you tell your sister as well?
No. My sister was pregnant at the time.
So he's expecting a baby, but he's doing...
He knew that I had problems with my husband. There was a baby on the way and I think my sister must have been about 8 months pregnant, something like that. Worst thing ever. And I so hate myself till today. Because she never forgave me, even for this. I was trying to save myself. All the gold my mum made me for my wedding ended up going into Southall and pawning it because I needed a roof over my head.
Okay.
So I rented somewhere and I pawned all the gold. But I thought, I'm going to work and I will get it back. I was one day too late to get that gold back. And she never forgave me. She'd still... didn't understand why I did that. She resented me for that because she worked very hard. And I always felt that she didn't really understand, or in a way, it felt like she didn't really care about me. Before she was going to pass, before she passed away, I said, Mum, I said, so I'm going to go to the police station and I'm going to do this. I said, because I have got no peace in my life.
So you went to the police regarding your brother-in-law?
I went to the police regarding my brother-in-law and about the groomers. Now, going back on the groomer, one of them, the police, he guided and said, like, I'm just going to go in now. He let me know step by step what he was doing. And I gave a description because this guy was bald at the time. His name was Charlie and he was bald. And he said to me, everything is correct what you're saying. He is in his 90s. He said, but... unfortunately, the description doesn't match because he's not bald. I mean, come on. Part of me just felt like, you know what, I will just look at you once, I will know it's you.
This was the person who used to stop you on the street?
Yeah, Fullich Road. Yeah, in the alleyway. About my brother-in-law, I also reported that to the police. I sat in the Ipswich police station. They recorded everything. They said I would never have to do it again. They've got it all on, tape and everything else, whatever they had to do. And I remember sitting in the car by myself and screaming and shouting and crying in that car. Must have been about an hour because I could not drive. I said to my mum, I said, Mum, they want a witness statement from you because you were my first point of call when I got raped.
Yeah, and she was the first one that heard it, yeah.
And she said, Pin, she said, don't tell the police to come to my house because my little brother and his wife and everybody was living with my mum. She didn't want the drama there, what she would call drama, which she said, but I'll come to your house. So I said, I don't care where you do it, Mum. You just need to get that witness. I just need that. I just need that to get my justice. Or that was all going to happen. My younger brother passed away.
Okay.
And I could not put my mum through that. So the police officer said to me, he said, look, he said, at the moment your brother and the situation is far more important to deal with. It's too overwhelming for you, but we can open the case again later on. It was a kind of hard thing to do, to open the case later on when you're seeing your mother already lost her husband, and now she's lost her younger brother. My younger brother, her son, all this up.
And if she gave a statement, she's going to lose her other daughter as well and everything like that.
What's the weirdest thing now, because I probably about a year or so after, she sent my sister-in-law here, and my sister-in-law was asking me questions. I didn't actually click at the time, but now when I look at it, my mum wanted to know what I would have told my sister-in-law. Told her exactly what I'm telling you right now. She just said, that time, it was their time. And I said, yeah, I get that. I said, but you don't get my pain and you don't know what I've had to go through. I run away from my family to protect all of you so that I stay away. And I married somebody who was 22 years older than me, who should never have been. I protected my sister because I didn't want her to lose her family life. I didn't want my mum to have any more pain. I didn't want my brother to go through all the heartache. So I'm the one who took myself out of the equation and run. All I've done all my life is run, to the point where she knew from the time that I went to the police station, from the time they wanted that witness statement, from the time that my younger brother had passed away, all I had in my head, she's got to do this statement. She's got to do this statement. That I need my justice. And it's the only person that I can have to do that. I didn't care about her. I didn't care about the grief. I didn't care about anybody, because I just thought, people, my little brother's died. Mum's going to go next. Get this statement done before she goes. I was desperate. Every time I tried, she had something else happening with her health. And every time I tried, there was an excuse. Then, unfortunately, she passed away. Every grief that I went through from her, from my brother, and then 2 years ago, my husband passed away. Through all of that, my nephew has tried it on with my daughter, and I've not seen my daughter for 11 years.
Is that because your daughter thinks that you never protected her or something?
I think it's the same thing.
So what happened to you was
repeating itself, and I want to put a stop to it. It needs to stop. I've got grandchildren. I've got nieces. I don't think my nieces even know how much behind the scenes that I'm really trying hard to protect them, but not destroy them by telling them. Their sister-in-law has told them, and everybody, as far as they're concerned in my family, I'm not well. And my mum said to me one time, she said, when I was in hospital, when I was in a really bad state, another trauma that happened, and she said to me, she said, I'm your and she said to the Indian people that used to come into the room that I was in, she said, and she told the Indian community, I'm the sick one. I'm actually the most fittest, healthiest person. The survival of everything that I went through.
Was it their way of sort of unconsciously hiding, and by calling you Bamar would justify everything that's happened?
Yes, covering up the truth. Can't bear to have somebody, to ruin the family name.
Loki ki kehne.
Yeah. I mean, we come from a very educated family. Believe it or not, I've got my mum with the police inspectors in India. My mother didn't want them to know in India what was actually happening here. It was always a cover-up.
A very taboo subject. And I know for a fact that we can probably talk about every other subject, but bar this one.
Yeah.
Honor is very important within the community, and that's why probably in their own warped thinking, to call you Bamar or call you sick was their way of saying she's sick, she's made all this up, she's, it's a way of hiding.
The craziest truth about that is part of me actually thought I was, because they made me believe.
When you're actually using these words constantly, you think you are.
Especially when you've never believed. And there's another thing that goes, coincides with this as well, because at the end of the day, you're always going in your life trying to justify yourself 10 million times more just because you wasn't believed. He had taken my soul, my spirit, my life. I've walked around numb, day in, day out, trying to have a life with my husband for 23 years, and even that didn't work. I've never ever been happy. I don't know what it's like to be happy. And like my whole soul, my whole spirit has been grieving all of its life. And
so you're constantly getting these feelings.
Always. After when I'm growing up and all that kind of stuff, and I'm looking back, and when people, especially family people close to you, pass away, that grief actually makes you wake up and see things that you would never ever have even thought you would confront throughout your life. It's almost like I had an awakening from all of that, and part of me was like, okay, what have you got left to lose?
When you said that, obviously it took you to a wrong path. What kind of path was it? Just I don't want you to go into great detail, but what kind of path was it?
I was married with my husband, and I didn't realise that he was, taking substances or anything like that. I was very naive. I didn't know anything about things like that. It took me to substance abuse.
Okay. Drug abuse?
Yes.
Were these hard drugs? Were these heroin, cocaine?
cocaine.
Okay. Was it easily available in those days?
It was my husband that was getting it.
Okay.
It wasn't me that was actually going out looking for it. I was married, and all I knew is whatever my husband needed to do, whatever we wanted to do, I had to abide by that. That's how I was brought up. Whether he wants to beat the crap out of me or whether he wants to whatever. I'm his wife. I have to abide by that.
Right.
Well, when I look back now, I did try to take my life. I ended up in hospital. I did slash my wrists. It was soon after I was raped by my brother-in-law. I look back now and I think, my God, the shock and the trauma that I didn't understand or nobody spoke about as we can today. I would never imagine sitting here with a Mr. Singh. Something that I just endured and carried on and thinking it was just normal.
This is one thing we do hear from a lot of victims, survivors, say, who've survived severe abuse. They normalised and thought that this is happening to all young people and it's a part and parcel of life, and they carry on.
Oh, in my case, I don't think it was a normalised, it's part of the parcel. It was more like I didn't have no guidance from my father.
We
didn't have a man in our life. I had to learn the hard way. I was just talking about myself, although there is generation trauma in our family, because we didn't have no guidance. Mum was everything, whatever Mum said, and she was very loyal to my dad right to the end. My grandfather said to her, get married again. She said, no, I've got 4 children. I have 1 husband. This is how I'm going to die. And that loyalty is what we know. It's what I thought was normal. So any time a man is near you or, anything, past, present, future, whatever, it was normal. This is it is normal.
Your inner gut was telling you something's not right.
Always,
but you've normalised it in your conscious mind.
How do you know if no one's ever taught you? I only learnt what normal was, as I've grown older, and in a way, I'm actually grateful I was married to my husband, who was 22 years older, because I learnt a lot from him being a man. I still learnt a lot from him. So in a way, it was probably like a father figure for me. Just
to bring you back, you were saying that it was repeated with your daughter as well. That was her first cousin, was it? That sister's son, or the person that abused you, the brother-in-law that abused you, the son is now abusing your daughter.
My daughter showed me some text messages that he sent. And talking on that note, this is another reason why I am here. She was living on her own, and he used to go there and stay with her all of the time. And I used to say to her, where is he sleeping? He said, he's always on the end of my bed. I said, he should not even be in your home. She came to me and she showed me some text messages, and she said, look. And I said to her, why do you think I always asked you, where is he sleeping? It runs in the family, her older cousin. And Mum was always trying to get him to stay here with me. And he was, substance use and all that kind of stuff. So he wasn't in a good place anyway, and I do feel for him. But one day, he was upstairs and talking to my daughter, and he had his arms around my daughter. And get your hands off my daughter. And he said, I'm just consoling us to get your hands off my daughter now. Still, I don't know what this family's all about. I've been away from this family for 20 odd years because I was living with my husband abroad. I've come back to something that I was not aware of.
Your daughter is away from you now.
Yeah.
Do you think, is she blaming you for not protecting her? Or?
My daughter, smartest girl I know. And I'm glad she got away when she did. To grieve for somebody who's alive, especially when it's your children, it's hard.
Did she ever report that to the police?
No.
No, okay.
But there was an occasion where something happened to her here in Gravesend, not from my own family, but something else happened to her as well. And she told me the story, and I said to her, we need to go to the police. And she said, Mum, please don't. She said, because they will come and do something to you.
These were not so good people.
I was working in a children's home. I was doing sleepovers. Because, obviously you get paid more. So as a single parent, I was doing sleepovers and then coming home. By the time I get home, she's ready for school. I take her to school, then I sleep and work and things like this. In that time, I didn't realise she was going out. I thought she was always at home. These 2 boys.
Pani or Gore?
These were Gore.
Gore.
They went into the flat with these boys, and My daughter knew something was wrong straight away. She told her friend to run. Her friend would run. And she said, well, you know, they grabbed her by her hair, pulled her down. And she's never told me exactly what happened.
You can only imagine that, yeah.
So the running away wasn't all from me. She's doing exactly the same as what I've done, right? She's running away just like I did.
This is what it is, generational traumas. You know?
And generational trauma is something that somebody has to break. People have to start talking up, because if you don't, you know, your grandchildren, you know, their kids, it's going to keep on and on and on. It's not an easy place to be. I've got nothing left to lose. One thing I've got to gain is that my daughter and children, I've fought.
Obviously, we don't have to go into the details and all that. What actually made you say, enough is enough and I'm going to share my story?
Because I've gone around a whole full circle through therapy, being told that I'm paranoid, being told I'm this, being told I'm labelled with this, labelled with that, labelled with that. I'm out of the drugs, to come out of the drinking, to come out of the wrong places, all on my own. Through a full circle, I've probably got about that little much left, and this is it. This is it right here now with you, me talking. So I saw the light, and I look back at everything, the cover-ups, the lies, shame, the guilt, everything that's associated with, just with rape, the families,
Sure,
the Indian families. Hiding something is the best asset they've got.
They just say if you don't speak about it, it'll just vanish. And
women especially, you know, we're supposed to be not heard. You know, speaking about it is very important, of course it is, but they're scared. A lot of Indian women are scared to speak out. They've got a lot to lose, haven't they? They've been given to another family.
A lot of them are dependent on where, you know, they're dependent on their husbands or their families.
Because of their children, and if they come into this country, they don't know where to run, who don't bring the shame on the families, and this and that. My mum came over here, family in India, family over here. What does she do? To cover up, yeah, we're doing very well, everything's good, you know, keep sending money back, you know, everything's fine, hush, hush, hush. It's not that she couldn't be honest, she couldn't share her truth. God knows what's happened to her, because that makes me think as well.
I remember doing a program 6-7 years ago, and we did a documentary from Montreal with a young lady who spoke about her abuse at the hands of her fuffad, her uncle. Normally we were dealing with grooming gangs and stuff like that in the UK. We've dealt with ancestral abuse before. And when we played this documentary out on TV, that night we had 39 people calling us about their abuse, speaking to a 65-year-old lady. And she says, you know what, looking at your, you know, what you've put out there on the documentary, it's given me the encouragement to talk about my abuse. She was 5 years old in a Indian Punjab when she was abused. I held it within her. She didn't tell her husband, she didn't tell her kids, she didn't tell her grandchildren. This is a 65-year-old lady telling us about her life. Years, obviously, because we deal with all aspects of abuse. We've had a lot of cases around the world. And I know you and me came through contact through social media.
Yeah, I got scared. I was like, my God, there's a guy here, and he's an upper, and he's really actually defending these women. You know? Do I reach out to him? Am I scared of him? Am I going to think, oh no, he's probably, you know, the doubts.
Yeah.
You know, you get doubts. Trust me, you get doubts with anything that goes on.
Sure.
I looked at your stories. I looked at the girls that they've come across, and I feel for every single one of them. I really do. I started to think, I need to get together.
In the first video you saw of us, when did we actually start talking? I mean, was it months or?
It was months.
Months, okay.
Yeah,
so it took you that long to build up the courage?
Because I had to think like the Gurdwara. I was thinking about what's been going on in the Gurdwara and stuff like that, and getting paranoid. You start thinking, oh God, you know, what do you do? Like pictures of your lovely wife and things like that. And I thought he really sounds like, you know, and I kept on analysing.
Okay.
Going over things and seeing how you was talking.
And that's your defence mechanism because of what's happened to you.
And I needed to be sure that you was doing it really from your heart and not just, you know, for any other reason. Mum's gone. My little brother's gone. My dad's gone. Brother and sister, well, I don't really want to get them involved. This is my story and I need to get it out. And what have I got to lose? Always shared my story with the English community, with my therapists and all that, but I've never, ever actually shared it with Indian people.
To the community that you come from.
I never, ever shared, and I thought, you know what, this may be the bit that unblocks me. Put it to bed, and I've been heard by the community, my truth.
How hard is it for you to go into the Gurdwara?
Very, 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 very difficult.
Is that because the community didn't listen to you?
I just feel that, again, you know, if you're not believed, how is he going to believe me if these people don't believe me and they're sitting in the Gurdwara? How is he going to believe me? That's how far it goes. Behind closed doors, he's always been with me because that's why I am where I am. Go into the Gurdwara, the people that are in the Gurdwara reading the Bible, I've had encounters with them. I have no faith in walking in there.
So even people who are practicing people in the Gurdwara, and they're called the Gyanis, they've tried things on you?
They haven't tried things on me, but I was running a charity shop in Parrot Street a long time ago. I was in the back of this shop sorting some stuff out, and I had this man who's working for me. I heard these Indian guys at the door saying, like, you know, have you got any blue films?
Okay,
you know.
okay. Oh, I remember that chat we had.
And I'm saying that, and I'm thinking to myself, this is a charity shop. Oh, who's asking that? When I looked round, it was 4 of them with the orange logo, you know.
Yeah, the stars, yeah.
And I thought, oh my God. Because I was scared to confront them or say something, I just went back into the back room and I was absolutely devastated. I was absolutely shocked.
Do you think they walked into your shop knowing that you wasn't a... So they probably thought you were Mediterranean, so they won't know. They've asked for...
And I've had that a lot.
Triple X movies.
I've had that a lot. I mean, even sometimes, you know, women say to me, do apnea. And because I speak English all the time, I don't know Indian, it's all broken, to be fair. So I do get confused with that. I saw that happening, and I find peace in the Gurdwara. I'm not going to lie. I absolutely love it, and I find peace in the Gurdwara, but I don't go. Barkey is on, when these things are on, you know, all these festivals and that. I miss out on all of those, and it breaks me. Even that part of a culture that I would really like to be in, it breaks me because I don't feel I'm part of it. People will still sit there and look at me with disgust because I putting shame on the culture. A funny feeling that'll probably come my way, but that's okay.
I was dealing with another sister, a similar age as yourself, talking to her over the phone, good 3-4 months, and then we met up and we were doing certain things together. And I remember she telling me that she'd never been in a Gurdwara after her abuse and everything. We did a program together at Gravesend Gurdwara, and she said for that 6-7 minutes, the only reason she'd done it because I was there, and she was shaking, going back into a community after so many years.
I wish I had the courage to do that. I mean, part of me really would love to do that. Part of me, like, I can't do it.
Baljeet, I mean, obviously we've gone through a lot, and we don't want to go into the extent of the abuse and all that.
Yeah.
We can all imagine that sort of abuse and the traumas that you're still suffering with. Reason for doing this, in your own words, I know we've spoken on the phone, but your reason for opening up and...
But my very, very first reason is, in my family, I've never lied. Always wanted to love you. And none of you let me get close. Just need you to know the truth. To the community, to all them women who have been bottling it up for years and years and years. Please come forward, because it's only then that we can all heal. To my daughter and my grandchildren, I'm just so sorry that I wasn't as strong as I should have been.
And also, like I said, we've been speaking on the phone on many occasions, and the whole reason for doing this, is so that no other young person, young lady, even boys and girls, they don't have to go through with what Baljeet had to endure half her life. Baljeet, I know we can talk for hours and hours, and I'm really grateful that you know, we were able to come here and take your story out to the rest of the world. So Thank you very, very much
Thank you.
for that.
Thank you.
From the first time you contacted or messaged us, we've had this sort of relationship, and it's built into trust and everything like that, and hope that we can help you further in your development, whatever struggles that you're going through. The main purpose of doing this is to show the people out there that these kind of things were real. And please, 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 if a child comes to you, I'm talking to the parents here, please believe your child. The more they have to endure, the harder it's going to get. Just for the child, it's horrendous, but everybody will sort of suffer. Please don't suffer in silence. If you're going through it currently, something of sexual abuse, then please pick up the phone. There is help on the other side. If you can talk to a parent, you can talk to a family member, talk to a trusted adult. It may be somebody at school. Please, please share your story with someone so that you can be taken out of that abuse. Do not suffer in silence. Any last words, Baljeet?
To all the Indian community and English and wherever, it doesn't matter, any woman out there, if you see me walking in the street and you're going through any kind of what I've explained here, pull me up and talk to me. Just talk to me. Don't be afraid. I'm not sad. Don't be afraid to talk. Doesn't matter where you see me.
No. There's help on the other side, and it only takes just to pick up that phone so you don't have to suffer in silence. Yeah. So until next time, guys, be aware, be prepared, and stay safe. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.